I just asked Copilot to write code for a player movement script in Unity, and it took only 10 seconds. So if AI can code this in seconds, why am I spending years learning some programming language for game development? Today, we're answering the question on every beginner in game development's mind. Is learning code pointless now? I'm Questlove, and I'm a software engineer and an indie game developer, and today we're going to be answering the question. Is learning code even worth it anymore? Should I just have AI do everything for me now and focus on other things? Am I going to be able to get a job in the industry? Who knows? Let's find out. Today, we're going to be answering this question of whether or not it's even worth learning how to code anymore. AI is revolutionizing how coding is done. It's crazy, honestly. I don't even know where to go with this. I don't even have a script for this video. It's crazy. Nice. AI is reshaping how development is done and reshaping how code is even written these days. AI tools are revolutionizing a person to code hundreds and thousands of lines of code in minutes, and really supercharging how development is done. AI can write entire classes and systems from a single prompt. It's really crazy what it's really capable of, and tools like Copilot, Cursor, Anti-Gravity, and Windsurf have AI-assisted workflows, and even Visual Studio does too, and all JetBrains IDEs that support Copilot have some sort of AI integration that allows you to prompt these AI models to produce code for you for your game, your software projects, whether it's a web app, a game, whatever it may be. You're able to now prompt these things, and it's able to generate thousands of lines of code, even possibly an entire project together, and be able to build a whole project for you from just a few prompts. Absolutely insane, right? Tech jobs have even decreased since the pandemic, and junior level roles are down even further. And adoption of AI tools is helping this trend as well. Jobs are more focused on senior roles in tech and people that can architect these systems together, and it's forcing out junior developers. You can see that, based on the competition out there, that junior developer roles are down, right? It is not helping, but it's not the entire cause. The pandemic is also a big reason for junior developer roles kind of going down as well. And AI is able to really supercharge the developers that are already out there being able to write code, and a lot of the junior level stuff that was writing boilerplate and stuff like that is really no longer available. So it's kind of forcing people into two things: find a new career or figure out how to get AI to work for you. And businesses are cutting roles. That is truly unfortunate. AI is really not as good as it seems, though. Even though AI is able to generate lots and lots of code really fast, doesn't mean that it can generate code that is bug-free. Debugging skills are still incredibly important for developers, and you should still understand how to use your debugging tools. So understanding how to read code and write code is still somewhat important, and understanding how to debug your code is also supremely important. While AI can help supercharge how quickly you're able to debug particular issues, and it's able to identify bugs before you even started debugging them, which is really, really cool, it doesn't mean that it's going to generate code that is always bug-free. I can even tell you this with personal experience at my job. I use AI every day to write code, and it doesn't always generate code that is bug-free. More often than not, I have to go back and change things on my own, or change little aspects of the code that it has written to be better to fit my needs, right? It's not perfect, but it is able to get a lot done, and it has allowed me at my job to get a lot more done than I would have been able to get done otherwise. Writing code by hand takes a lot of time, and AI is able to write code a lot faster, but that doesn't mean that the code is perfect. Not only that, AI doesn't understand architecture the same way that humans do. When you're architecting an application like a video game, you have player movement scripts, game managers, you have enemy AI, you have all these different scripts that need to work together and interact with each other. And while AI can get somewhat of an idea of how these scripts need to work, it doesn't really understand the overall architecture of your entire game, right? How all these scripts are supposed to hook into each other and interact with one another, right? And architecture is one of the things that humans are still excelling at, right? And that's something that AI is just not really capable of yet. And I'm not really sure if it'll ever be fully capable of building an application end to end that has a very advanced architecture, right? Big applications like Netflix have architecture that is very, very complicated, and AI, there's no way AI would be able to understand all of the parts of, say, Netflix, right? Maybe a small video game, it might be able to understand how all the aspects fit together on like your indie game projects. Beyond like a couple dozen classes or, a decent sized project, it's really not going to be able to understand how the whole context of the project is, right? It's going to be larger. So while it's able to understand entire classes, and it's be able to refactor code, and it's able to do all these really really, really cool things, it doesn't have the same architectural intuition that we do, right? We're able to figure out how all these things are to interact, how this is supposed to hit this database, right? How when you make an API call, how it's supposed to go through a controller and then hits, the database, and it's able to move that data back to the front end, right? All those kinds of things, right? And that's specifically with a web application. But even in a video game though too, it still applies that it's not going to get the full architecture of your game and how everything is supposed to work. So it still requires human planning to properly architect projects and make all of the pieces fit together. Just because AI can generate code doesn't mean the project will work either. More often than not, and I've seen with the videos of people generating games with AI, that things turn out really, really buggy. And if you don't have a human guiding it that actually knows what they're doing, it's gonna be a problem. You're gonna have a mess of code that you're not gonna understand what's going on, and it is just a whole giant issue. Architecting applications is really important, and people are still required to do those things. Even though you could prompt AI to write code for you, doesn't mean that it's gonna be architected properly. This leads me into my next point. It is still absolutely worth learning how to code. Understanding coding concepts is becoming really, really important. Understanding how classes work, how data structures work, different algorithms and stuff like that, how they all fit together is really, really important for understanding how to read code. AI, even though it's able to generate code, if you don't understand what the code is doing, you're gonna have an application that is filled with bugs, and it's just not gonna be a good time for you. You're gonna be stuck debugging something that you don't understand how it works if you don't know how to code. So it's understanding the basics and the concepts that's gonna really help you be able to debug what you're really looking for. And even though you have a conceptual idea of how you want your application to work, you can guide AI to build that thing for you. Learning how to code also helps solidify those concepts. So picking a programming language like C# is going to help you solidify concepts of how linked lists work, how arrays work, how hash sets work, how hash maps work, what dictionaries are, what inheritance is, polymorphism, and all these various different topics in computer science and object-oriented programming. It's going to help you understand how those things are and what they are for, and that'll help you better architect how your application is to be built using AI, because AI is able to leverage these topics like, hey, I think this class my player class should inherit from my entity class, and my entity class should have a property for taking damage but also doing damage and maybe movement, and then that should be overridden by the player character for its specific value. And normally, if you just have AI build it and it has no context for the architectural design that you have set in place, you're going to end up with spaghetti code. So understanding different concepts is going to really help you build your game. Reading code is also becoming infinitely more important than it ever was before. Understanding how to go through line by line and read what the code is doing, even though AI comments a lot of it, it will help you to understand what stuff is doing and why. Reading code is really important. Every time you prompt AI, it generates code. You have to go through and read and vet that code and approve what it does. And if you don't know what code is or how to read code, you're not going to have a very good time with that process. You're going to accept code that's buggy and it's going to cause you problems. So yeah, learning how to properly prompt AI will help drive better results, and reading the code will help drive even better results. As I mentioned before, debugging is also still really important as well. So understanding how to debug your applications and using your debugger in Visual Studio or your JetBrains IDE is still super, super important. AI doesn't replace creativity for game developers. It is going to empower us to build better games than we were building before, and often much faster. For those of us that already understand how to code, it is going to supercharge our workflows, and we are going to be better off than we were before, and we're going to be able to do more than we were before. So with all that being said, AI can supercharge developers who are able to utilize it properly and aren't just vibe coding their way to an application or a game. Vibe coding your architecture is going to lead to a very messy program and a lot of spaghetti code and a big mess on your hands that you're not going to understand how it works. Understanding coding concepts and software architecture is still super important, and it will help you guide your AI model to driving your project to the conclusion and helping you build a better game or application. The job market is still likely to shift on this kind of stuff, so I really do think that if you are looking for a job in game development or software engineering, that you should still keep trying and level up your skills and use AI. AI is a tool. It is not a replacement for the developers. While a lot of people are getting laid off because of AI being able to do more, it just means that they're keeping the more productive people around, and they are cutting the people who are unfortunately probably less productive, or the people that refuse to use it. So use these tools and understand how they work and how you can best leverage AI to build your games and projects. And in the end, we should be able to have much cooler and much higher quality indie games in the future coming out thanks to AI, because the less time you're spending on worrying about coding individual lines, you're spending more time thinking about the architecture of your game and how each of the pieces fit together. And you also have more time to focus on other things like artwork, music, level design, and all those other aspects of your game. So it's really going to free up your time to be able to handle those other aspects more, which is really, really cool. And we should see some really creative projects coming out in the next few years. Another thing is these tools are not going anywhere. They are going to be here for now, going forward, right? Copilot exists. It's not going nowhere. These AI models exist. They're not going nowhere. This technology's here. It's staying. It's not going nowhere. So I wouldn't bank on the fact that it's a fad or something like that and it's going to be gone in a few years. If you think that, you should reconsider your opinions and you should start learning how to use these tools, because these tools are really, really useful. I think in that case, you should level up your skills and use AI and learn how to prompt it effectively to help make your projects pop. That's pretty much it, guys. I just wanted to have this conversation about AI in this video of why it's probably still worth learning to code and why you should probably still go watch all those how to code in C# videos. I'll have a card up in the corner for that if you want to go watch those. And also go check out some of my other videos. I have a lot of game development content on this channel. I'm going to be posting more frequently, so I am back. So yeah, go hit that subscribe button, hit that like button as well if you like this video, if you found the content useful or informational. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a great day. Peace out.